Good day guys, Fortnite Cafe here. Fortnite's been the king of battle royale games for years now. There has simply been no other game that has come close to the magnitude of updates and changes that Fortnite brings with each new season. From new skins, map changes to weapons, Fortnite really does do it all, especially with the collaboration section. While usually Epic keeps a very keen eye on balancing out what works and what doesn't, there are bound to be a few slip-ups every now and then. Honestly, here's a list of the top 10 most broken weapons in the history of Fortnite. I thought this would be a pretty fun recap video for you guys, so please if you liked the video, like and subscribe, and let's get started. Starting off our good old list in the number 10 spot is the C4. Kicking things off is the infamous C4. Fortnite has been updating and balancing their weapons perfectly for the most part, but this weapon in particular has turned out to be unfixable. While hiding perfectly well in plain sight often, and the noise it made being almost inaudible, it was the best trap for literally anyone. It's especially true for the newer players, who were a little bit more unaware of their surroundings, that's including sound. This was essentially a one-hit down and could take down builds faster than even the rocket launcher or a couple pair of grenades. This truly broke the game in weird ways, and so Epic decided it would be better to just pull the plug on the weapon and just get rid of it. And rightly so too. This weapon never really caused the biggest controversy, but we can understand why they got rid of it. In the number 9 spot, we have the guided missile. The guided missile has been one of the wackiest weapons in the game, a controllable rocket launcher that sent out a missile that you could control basically like a remote-controlled airplane. What made it so strong is that you can maneuver it around to make it directly hit your target. It was incredibly hard to shoot it while it was mid-air, and it could take down enemies in one hit on direct impact, though mostly it was used to destroy specific parts of builds and gave players an advantage over other players that really annoyed the maximum amount of players it could. This also includes the jumping on the rocket strat and have your friend guide it to the enemies, which is kind of a bit broken, especially back in the day where mobility wasn't as strong as it is now in Fortnite. This really was an overpowered weapon of circumstance, honestly. In the number 8 spot, we have more of an item and a pickup and not really a weapon, but following the recurring theme of mobility, it's the jetpack. Mobility of the jetpack heavily influences every gunfight they're part of. Considering building is a key element, that's because it's the easiest way to gain the higher ground and land rockets and headshots on your enemies. But when jetpacks were introduced, the building power was straight up thrown out the window. Jetpacks were the easiest way to counter high ground plays. I mean, no kidding, you could literally fly over your enemies and just negate all their building, including if you didn't have mats. And it took a very high skill mechanic and just kind of threw it out the window, which is probably why they balanced it out. And they fixed it up a bit using cooldown. Moving up the list is the Stark Industries rifles. The Stark Industries energy rifles was introduced as a timed weapon for Season 4 of Chapter 2. These were matching the Avengers theme of the season, and the weapon were mini Iron Man beams, the mythic version of the weapon. However, ripped everything apart. From builds to people, the accuracy of the weapon was on point and there's literally no kick to it. The weapon had a really insane damage, reaching up to 70 on a headshot. That in itself makes the weapon super broken. But it was a timed weapon. But it was somewhat balanced by its rarity, but still. Coming in number 6, yes, the elusive Zapatron. This is the only Fortnite weapon that was removed within an hour of its accidental addition to the game. You heard that right. Epic added the Zapatron by mistake into the game. The weapon was vaulted right after, but not before a single video was recorded. The weapon in the video seems to be a sniper rifle of sorts that was very easy to hit people with. It has insane range and does 150 damage on even the longest ranges with a body shot. The weapon seemingly didn't fit the theme of the game Epic released, but it seems like it's right on time now, so who knows, maybe we'll see a comeback when it was actually meant to be introduced. I'm just really hoping that when they reintroduce it, they balance it out a bit better. Now entering the top 5, and a weapon that I actually enjoyed using was the combat shotgun. With the release of Season 9 in May of 2019, everyone's favorite pump shotgun was vaulted, and this is the steed of the combat shotgun. Now, to some players this seemed like a bad thing because they love the pump, but the combat turned out to be absolutely broken. With a faster fire rate than even the tactical shotgun, the combat shotgun had 10 bullets in its magazine, and headshots would mean that it was an instant takedown in 2 hits. With the pump being vaulted, everyone was running tactical and combat at the same time, and that just kind of felt insane that you could 2-pump people with these. This turned the already broken strat of 2-pumping into something even worse. Now moving on, the original drum gun. Just pain. Absolute pain. The drum gun was released back in 2018, and the gun was simply, just put it, broken. It was like a mythic SMG when it came out in close range fights, and it was like a mythic assault rifle when it came to long range fights. The gun had no recoil and had the most accurate spread ever, so much so that you didn't even have to aim down sights with it. It was the true definition of a spray and pray in Fortnite. Another thing that annoyed tons of people was that it could instantly destroy builds in seconds and still have more than enough bullets left in the magazine for a whole squad. Now moving in the top 3. In the bottom of the top 3 we have boogie bombs. Boogie bombs were probably the causes of many people uninstalling the game. Just hitting the ejector seats right after you in the last circle and you get boogie bombed by the enemy 10 times in a row. Nothing feels worse than that. I have nightmares about getting bullied by a boogie bomb using Maniac in Fortnite. The boogie bombs in the game right now aren't the reason to fear, but they were originally released, they were painful. After getting hit with, the boogie bombs just like, they were uncounterable, you couldn't do anything about it. They were essentially doing nothing for 10 seconds. Even after taking damage, they couldn't really do anything. You couldn't build, you couldn't fight, you couldn't do anything. It was basically just a death sentence, but more embarrassing. It was really unfun to play against, and I'm glad they nerfed it. And I personally can't stand any stun mechanics in games, and this was basically Fortnite's stun mechanic. For the runner-up, we've got the P90. P90, also known as the Compact SMG, is an epic and a mythic reserved submachine gun, and man, did it slap when it was first released. Remember the drum gun? The P90 was about the drum gun, but on steroids. Shoot through wood like a termite, brick, and metal with enough ammo left to absolutely just bully your enemies. It was so much so that people started exchanging everything for a P90. Shotguns, rifle, and everything was thrown in your inventory just for the P90 to be put back into it. Crazy thing is that it broke builds from halfway across the map and could essentially snipe people from like a 50-meter distance. The submachine gun had insane accuracy, and the rate of fire was ruling the game in its prime. However, that aside, it was a really fun gun to use, but just terrible to play against because once your enemy had one, you couldn't really counter it. You'd usually have both the range and the DPS advantage in most fights. Alright guys, right before our number 1 spot, I want you guys to comment what you think the most broken item in the game is. Okay, moving on. In the number 1 spot, we have the Infinity Blade. The Infinity Blade was probably the most broken thing to ever happen to Fortnite. As soon as you wield the sword, you automatically gain 200 HP, and not just that, the blade kept healing the wielder by 1 HP per second. And it was essentially a 3-hit kill, even on most shielded players. It also provided huge amounts of mobility with its dashing abilities, and not to mention the amount of destruction the weapon could do. When wielding the weapon, you could essentially go through 5 layers of brick in just one dash. This weapon was also released around the time where some of the competitive Fortnite events took place. It includes Winter Royale. Flonice was also one player who ended up destroying everybody with the Infinity Blade, and it just became the subject of huge controversy in the community. Thankfully, it was vaulted and never brought back. The weapon was just insanely broken, and it tormented the arena players and competitive players for a while before being vaulted, which is more than we can say for some weapons. Alright guys, this was our list of the top 10 most broken weapons to ever come to Fortnite. Let us know in the comments below if whether or not we missed anything. Make sure to like and sub and hit the bell icon to know when the next videos are coming out. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.